Cheney deceived all the Americans by telling them Iraq had weapons of mass destruction. Yeah. Had a lot of thousands of our military were killed in Iraq. Tens and thousands were injured. Over a million Iraqis were killed. Just deception of the American people. For what? He benefited his company $40 billion, taxpayers' money. Thank you. So that's one of the reasons I voted, and I just voted recently, but I can tell you, I endorsed Donald Trump to be the President of the United States. Thank you. Thank you. We need to bring prosperity, build our economy, stop the war, and invest in our country and rebuild our infrastructure. Vote for Donald Trump to be our next president. Thank you. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage United States Congressman John Molinar.
Hello, West Michigan. My name is John Molinar, and I represent Michigan's 2nd Congressional District. Little history tonight. As he walked out of the Constitutional Convention in Philadelphia, Benjamin Franklin was asked what the delegates had given the people. His response, a republic, if you can keep it. In less than 24 hours, the votes will be cast and the polls will close here in Michigan. Much is at stake. Can we keep this republic? I have good news for you. We will soon hear from President Donald J. Trump. And we know President Trump has our back. We can't afford 4 more years of high inflation, a southern border crisis, and weakness on the global stage. We need common sense solutions for our economy, lower prices, a secure southern border, and strong American leadership here at home and abroad. So here's my request for all of you. If you haven't already voted, I need you to vote tomorrow. I need you to vote for a more prosperous America. I need you to vote for a secure southern border. I need you to vote for a healthier America and for our God-given rights to the freedom of religion and the freedom of speech. Vote for the right to defend your family and your family's values. Vote for the sanctity of human life. America needs you to vote for President Donald Trump, Mike Rogers for Senate, and I ask that you give us a growing Republican majority in the U.S. House and the Michigan House of Representatives. And please do not forget to complete your ballot by voting for O'Grady and Fink for Supreme Court. I want to personally thank you for all you've been doing. You've been making phone calls, knocking on doors, placing yard signs, talking to your friends and neighbors about the importance of this election. History will record whether we live out America's full promise or decline, as so many nations have done before us. Our freedom hangs in the balance. Let's make America great again and rise to the occasion by electing Donald J. Trump as America's 47th president. Thank you, and God bless you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage United States Congressman Bill Huizenga.
I actually got a chance to request Deadly Tedley as my walk-up music, which is pretty cool. Motor City Madman, I don't think he can be here with us tonight, but interestingly enough, this is actually my third election eve rally with Donald J. Trump. Now we're gonna do a little class participation here, all right? Everybody with me? You ready for this? All right. Who here was at DeVos Place just down the road in 2016? Let's hear from you. That's a good crowd. That's a good crowd. Now, who here was out at Grand Rapids Airport freezing their nuggets off? All right. That was a cold night. Interestingly enough, Ted Nugent was backstage trying to keep his hands warm so he could actually do the national anthem. Well, I know that we've got a phenomenal crowd here tonight, and there's as big a crowd can't even get in. So count yourself lucky as we elect Donald J. Trump, the next president of the United States. All right, we're not done with class participation quite yet. All right, we're going to do a little poll. The media is going to be kind of interested in this one, actually. It's okay. It's okay. It's good they're here. They're giving us good coverage. That's all right. So I want to know who here has either done early voting or absentee ballot already. I'm assuming the rest of you are voting tomorrow. All right, there we go. Both of those responses make me think the Democrats are in a lot of trouble. That's right. That's right. All right. So now we've got a little bit of time, not much. My understanding is, I hope I'm not spoiling anything, the president's in the air. He's on his way here. And I think that's a good thing, right? We've all been here for a little while. But that man is the Energizer Bunny of American politics, isn't he? So, we're gonna see, and I see my friend, my 10X friend right down there, by the way. We gotta make sure if you haven't gone out to 10X, make sure that you're doing that. That is a tool to get your friends, your neighbors, and even your cousins that you don't like out to the polls tomorrow. So, but we're gonna see if we can let President Trump know he's coming to Grand Rapids, and I'm gonna divide you, okay? This way, we'll let you guys kind of choose. Right here. No, it's not going to be a grow green, grow white, not a go blue. Hold on. All right. So hold on. Hey, as long as we beat Ohio State, that doesn't matter. All right. So, by the way, isn't J.D. Vance the best thing that's come out of Ohio? That's right. All right, stick with me. Here we go. I want this side of the arena, and man, this is an amazing arena. There's not a seat pack. By the way, you better be telling the truth on this. There isn't a single open seat up there, by the way, media. So I want to hear this side of the arena do a Trump. This side of the arena, I want to hear a Vance. So let's go. Trump. One more time. Yeah, that's right. Way to go. Way to go. Way to go. All right. My time's coming up, but I just want to press one thing and make sure that you understand this. Donald Trump needs to go into the White House at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. We all agree about that, right? But here's the thing, and I've lived through this. I lived through the first 2 years of the last Trump administration, and I lived through the second 2 years of that first administration. There is no Donald J. Trump agenda. There is no America's agenda if he does not have a majority in the Senate and a majority in the House of Representatives. You with me? You following? We can have him in the White House, but if he does not have the ability to pass his legislation, whether it's energy policy, tax policy, foreign policy, that agenda is dead in the water, and we cannot let that happen. We cannot let that happen. So we've got to make sure that we are electing a Republican majority to the House of Representatives and a U.S. Senate. And guess what? Michigan is at the crossroads of all three of those things right here tonight. All three of those. We are the path to the White House, the path to the Senate majority, and the path to the House majority. And that's how we get our agenda, your agenda done. So, who wants to go win? All right. Now, let's give it one big send-off. Trump, Vance, Trump. Let's go win!
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage endorsed candidate for the United States Senate, Mike Rogers.
Are you guys fired up?
How about this no tax on tips helmets? I love that. I love that. Those are called, working hats. How about everybody? Well, I have to tell you, you got to get excited. I know the president's on his way. Yeah, you bet. I hope you're ready to give him a Grand Rapids, Michigan send-off into tomorrow, into his next presidency, huh? And I want you to do me a favor. There's 4 generations of military service in our family, 4 in my wife's family as well. Our son, Lieutenant John Rogers, is here with us this evening. I don't know where he's at. I don't know where he went. All right. My wife also served Department of Defense in Iraq. Thank you so much for your service as well. To all of the veterans, thank you. To our friends who traveled here from Dearborn and Dearborn Heights in southeast Michigan, our Christian Arab friends, our Muslim Arab friends, welcome. You are welcome here, and we're counting on you. Thank you. We all want a path to peace, and we all want prosperity for our families and our children. Thank you for being part of that coalition. Thank you. You know, the Democrats are very proud. I don't know if you noticed this. They have Bon Jovi come into Detroit tonight. Yeah. Right on. This is okay. This is really okay. I'll tell you why. They got Bon Jovi. We got auto workers. Thank you, brother. Yeah, that's right. We do have Kid Rock. That's pretty good. I like that. Who's a great shot at a beer can, ain't he? That's pretty good. What, is too soon? Was that too soon? They have Taylor Swift. We got Teamsters. They got Sarah Jessica Parker. We've got farmers on our team. I will take Team America all day long, huh? Tell you some other folks we got. Met a guy who was the valet, the bellhop valet, who came here about 10 years ago from a Caribbean country. And we just happened to be chatting about where he was at and where he was going. He said, you know, I don't understand Americans sometimes. Do you know I would have to pay to have this job in my home country? And I would have to pay every month a VIG to somebody who helped me get this job in my country. And he said, you know what happened here? I came here and said, I'm going to be the hardest working guy you have here if you give me a chance. And he said, you know what? Unbelievable. Not only they give me the job, but after 10 years of saving, I'm going to be able to afford my first house. Only in America, he said, could this happen. Think about what we have and who we are. We stopped at a Lebanese restaurant actually on the way. We were in the southeast side of Michigan today. We were with J.D. Vance earlier today, who did a phenomenal job. In Flint, Michigan, I will say. The owner was Muslim. He had Arab Christians working on his staff. Yeah, you bet. Chaldeans, Egyptians, you bet. I love it, I love it, I love it. Yeah, I love Chaldeans. Yeah. Make sure you all come to the polls tomorrow. I love it. They all came out one by one, all of them, the servers, every one of them. And he came out and said, I will tell you something. I know there was some trepidation about voting Republican. He said, but look at my restaurant. Candidly, it wasn't all that full. He said 4 years ago, we used to have 45, an hour, and 90-minute waits. The Democrats are stealing our future. Think of that. And one staff after another came out and said, we can't handle this. We are voting Republican. So we know how difficult it has been on Michigan families all over this state, and we've talked to a ton of them. For the moms who are struggling, who told us that they have to go to the food pantry the last 2 and 3 days of the month to feed their families. To the folks who actually are working for a living that just got laid off at Ford. Think of that, 700 people because of these EV mandates. The government telling you what kind of car to buy and telling our companies what car to build. We're going to kill those EV mandates. So think about what we're doing here. We are here tonight. You didn't give up on politics. Thanks for doing it. You didn't give up on Michigan because so many people did early on. We got here tonight where we will make the difference for President Donald J. Trump and sending him to the White House. And for those families that had to go home and talk about that pink slip with their family, which, by the way, goes through Thanksgiving and
Christmas. We need to tell them something tomorrow by our showing up, by you bringing 5 of your friends, by finding that crazy Uncle Earl that we all have that hasn't voted in 10 years. You got to find him, get him to the poll. Yeah, everybody knows that. My family says it's me. I don't know. It could be. We need to tell those auto workers, come tomorrow, we're going to have your back. We're going to tell that woman who is taking groceries off of the conveyor belt and putting it back in the cart because they can't afford it, tomorrow we will have your back. We're going to tell police officers who have been treated like doormats for the last 4 years, come tomorrow, we will have your back. And we are going to tell the men and women of the United States military, no more of that woke nonsense. Come tomorrow, we will have your back. I know you're fired up. Let's do this. Let's win for our country, for our citizens, for the future of the United States of America. Let's get Donald J. Trump in the White House. Let's get Mike Rogers in the Senate. And let's get rid of Chuck Schumer. God bless you. Get out there. Get it done. Go for America.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage former United States Ambassador to Germany and former Acting Director of National Intelligence for the Trump administration, Rick Grenell.
Let's go! Let's go! Hello, Michigan! I gotta tell you, it feels good to be home. I'm a Michigander. I know I play a Californian on TV, but I am born in Muskegon. And I was raised in Jenison, Michigan. And it feels good to be back home. Let me just tell you, we got some work to do. As my mom will tell you, we West Siders always vote right, but if it wasn't for Detroit, we would be winning these elections. But I got some news for you this time. We've been working Detroit. We've been working Wayne County. And let me tell you one thing about Wayne County and our Arab brothers and Muslim brothers and sisters. Let me tell you one thing about them. They want peace. And Donald Trump is the peace candidate. He's the one who's going to deliver peace. No more wars. No more open borders. We're tired of it. And we're tired of the left telling us, telling you, that somehow you are mean-spirited for wanting to have a closed border. You're not mean-spirited. Matter of fact, you are the most generous people in the history of the world when it comes to immigration. We give roughly 1 million people a year U.S. citizenship. No other nation comes even close to that. You are generous. But guess what? There's 500 million people who want to come to this great country. You got to have rules. You got to vet people. We welcome immigrants who are legal, who do it the right way. Don't cut the line. Don't cut the line. We're not going to apologize for wanting to have rules. And by the way, we conservatives and Republicans and independents and common sense people, you can't tell us that somehow wanting to have rules and a closed border makes us racist. We think when you came up with this idea of sanctuary cities, it sounds like a spa day. Sanctuary city. Who would be against sanctuary cities? It sounds so nice. But let me tell you what sanctuary cities are. It's an evil concept. It's an evil concept where you get to break federal law and get protection. That is unacceptable. We hear from our friends on the left constantly talking about undermining democracy. Nothing undermines democracy when you attack the rule of law with a sanctuary city. Millions of Americans are demanding peace, and Donald Trump has delivered peace. We have seen Kamala Harris for the last year struggle on the world stage. She doesn't know where the Middle East is. She doesn't know how to negotiate. She hasn't been over there. Matter of fact, Kamala Harris hasn't even gone to Dearborn, Michigan. Why is that? Why is it that Kamala Harris can't go to Dearborn? Well, I got one thing to say. Hillary Clinton didn't go to Wisconsin, and Kamala Harris didn't go to Dearborn. That spells disaster. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to win Michigan. We're going to put Mike Rogers in the Senate. But let me tell you how we have to do it. Gone is the day that you get to come into the Van Andel Arena, come down here with a whole bunch of people who believe the same way, listen to some speeches, get riled up, and go home and cross your fingers and hope that we win tomorrow night while you sit on your couch and watch TV. Gone is that day. I wish that we lived in the America where you could just watch. But I'm here to tell you, if you watch, you're going to lose your country. We are not promised to be the greatest country in the history of the world forever. You have to work for it. When you leave this arena, you've got work to do tomorrow. Every single person has to call everybody they know and say, I'm voting for Donald Trump and Mike Rogers, and here's why. You have to do this. Listen, we spend a lot of money on TV commercials and pamphlets, and your mailboxes are being flooded, but there is no better way to get someone to vote for Donald Trump than for you to say to them, I need you to vote for Donald Trump. I'll drive you. I'll take you to the polls. Bug people tomorrow. You have a job to do. And let me just finish with this. I know President Trump, what he's been through is un-American. We should not have a system that tries to ruin this man, bankrupt him. It is un-American what they're doing to him. But he's taught us one thing, and we must do that. Ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow, when you wake up, you have to work to save your country. And what that means is you must fight, fight, fight. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Governor of North Dakota, Doug Burgum.
Hello, Michigan! Are you ready to rock? Yes, you need to be, because if you're here tonight, you're part of history. Yes, you are. This is a historic evening. How many of you were here 8 years ago when President Trump? Raise your hand if you were. Well, everybody here is going to be able to raise their hand in the future and say you were here the night when the greatest political comeback in American history occurred, and it happened right here in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I've got a simple little quiz for you. It's multiple choice. 2 answers, Harris or Trump. You need to let me ask the question first. Who's going to win Michigan? Who's going to win Michigan? Who are we going to send back to the White House? Yes, that's right. That's what's going to happen. Everyone tells you that this is the most important election of their lifetime, but this one actually is. And the other thing that we need to understand is, well, it is a national election. There are over 3,000 counties in America. This election is going to be decided tomorrow. About half the electorate hasn't voted yet, 50% of our country voting tomorrow, and that election is going to be decided in 19 counties in 7 states. And this is one of those counties that's going to decide the election. And again, who's going to win tomorrow here? Yes, and that's good news. It's good news for all of you and good news for America. And I want to start with a message from President Trump, and that's one of gratitude. Gratitude for each and every one of you, because if you're in this room, I got to believe that you've been knocking on doors. I see those white Trump Force captains out there. Thank you all for everything you've been doing. How many people have put up a sign in their yard? Look at that. How many of you have talked to a friend about who you're going to vote for? How many of you have posted something online about your support for President Trump? Yes, this room and many watching at home, you are the force multiplier. You're the group that's overcoming all the misinformation and all the lies. You're out there talking about something that no one can take away from you, and that's your lived experience. And your lived experience is there anything in your life today that costs less than it did 4 years ago? Were you better off when President Trump was president? Well, that's all you need to tell to your friends tomorrow, that we've got a proven leader that can bring our country back, American greatness. And when we're in a room like we are tonight, and we start with a prayer, and we start with a pledge, what I see, I don't see garbage. No. What I see is the best of America. The best of America, where people come together because they care about their country, they care about their community, they care about their family, they care about their kids, they care about their grandkids, and they care about generations that haven't been born yet. That's what I see in this room. And when President Trump takes the stage tonight, and you see that emotion when he walks out here to the music, that's exactly what he's seeing. And I know that he's filled with gratitude for what each and every one of you have done and what each and every one of you are going to do tomorrow, because you have an opportunity by what you do tomorrow to change the course of this country and put us back on the track. There's a giant mess out there. Who's going to fix it? Absolutely. And I just have to touch on that for just 1 second. As the governor of North Dakota, I had an opportunity I grew up in a small town of 300 people. Didn't even have a computer in that town when I was going to high school, never seen a piece of software. But with this amazing country, I had a chance to do a software startup with 10 kids from North Dakota. And because of the freedom and the opportunity and the ability to take risks, we built a 2,000-person company. We sold our products all over the world. The American dream existed. And that started under Ronald Reagan when that happened. And he came in, Ronald Reagan, and he fixed high interest rates. He brought peace and prosperity to the world. And he was following Jimmy Carter. And what do we have now? With Harris, she's got her fingerprints over every problem we have right now. Who was the last person in the room that's bragging about the last person in the room about the authorized invasion to Afghanistan? Who was that? Let's pick one. Are we going to say Kamala or Harris? Kamala? You want to say Kamala? Who was the last one in the room? No. We're talking about who decided to do the horrible withdrawal from Afghanistan. Okay, I think you know the answer. Who was the tying vote? Who was the vote that broke the tie that created the Inflation Creation Act? That was Harris. Who was the border czar? Yes. Who was in charge of the EV mandates that are killing our auto industry? Yes. And who was the one that was leading the cover-up that Joe Biden has the capacity to be our president? So it is so clear. This is not like a slight course correction when President Trump gets in office with your help. This is a 180-degree different direction on the economy, on energy policy, on border policy, and on national security. And I can tell you myself, I was 4 weeks ago, I had an opportunity to be in the Middle East. They can't wait for President Trump to come back in and bring peace back to the world. 2 weeks ago, I was in South Korea talking with their president. 51 million people living in a spot that's half the size of North Dakota, 20 miles away from the DMZ on the other side. You got the North Korea, which has got nuclear weapons. You know who they can't wait to have back in office? Someone with the strength to stand up to China, stand up to the new partnership between North Korea and Russia. North Korea sending troops to Russia, Russia fighting a war against us with oil money because this administration with Harris is choking the U.S. energy business. Both Iran and Russia are funding wars against us with the failed Biden-Harris energy policies. You know who's going to fix that? Absolutely. So do you want more prosperity for you and your family? Do you want lower prices for everything you buy? Do you want peace abroad? Okay. Who are we going to send back to the White House? Absolutely. And he's going to be on stage tonight. They're getting closer. They're coming in here, and this is going to be the final historic thing, like I said, of the greatest comeback in political history. You're all part of it. Let's give him an incredible Michigan welcome when he gets here. Thank you, Michigan. Let's go. Let's get it done tomorrow. Thank you. USA, USA, USA.
Mr. McMahon has made his way up the aisle. And he's not saying how, he's saying goodbye. He's the chairman of the WWE.
Uh-oh, wait a minute. Watch out, Mr. McMahon, here comes Lashley!
Over Bobby Lashley. Lashley sprinting up the aisle. Bobby Lashley with cat quickness. And now Lashley, the powerhouse, has the chairman of the WWE under control.
Oh, no.
The boss is being manhandled by the ECW champion, Bobby Lashley. A thumbs up from the Donald, whose hair is safe, we think, for now.
JR, it looks like we're going to have ourselves a bald billionaire.
Stone Cold guaranteed that there would be a bald billionaire. And the festivities, if you will take place in the center of the ring.
Uh-oh. Turn around.
The scent of a rattlesnake and of a bald head. Oh, no. Mr. McMahon, you might want to get used to that feeling right there.
Oh, look out! There it is!
Adding more insult to injury, Mr. McMahon has been thwarted by a Stone Cold Stunner, and now Austin giving a Lashley directions to load McMahon in that barber's chair. A stunned McMahon being strapped into the chair.
And this barber chair that must have belonged to a mighty bad barber. It's got straps for your arms and a seatbelt for your waist. My dentist has a chair like that, but I've never seen a barber chair. Uh-oh.
Austin restraining McMahon, who's begging for a reprieve.
Come on, Bobby, let's go. How you doing, man? How you doing?
I would love to hear what Mr. McMahon is saying. Oh, no. Oh, no.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God.
Trump and Lashley shaving Mr. McMahon bald.
Don't do this to me.
I can hear Mr. McMahon screaming over here in ringside, JR.
Oh, no. No.
He's
Don't you
crying.
look at me. Stop it. Stop it, don't. You're going to make me look like a focus.
Oh, no, no, please.
No. No, my God, no.
Donald Trump actually doing the honors himself.
Oh, God.
One billionaire shaving another billionaire's head.
And King, one of the great mysteries of life, has just been discovered. And Austin is loving this. And now look at Bobby Lashley. Oh, this should be something. The mirror in hand. McMahon strapped to the barber chair. Now being released, but the damage has been done to the catatonic chairman of the WWE.
Show the man a little mercy. Let him have some dignity. Wipe that stupid shaving cream off his face.
McMahon joining Austin and Lashley as a ball person.
Just close your eyes. Don't look. Lashley's got a lot of balls.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, 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 no.
No, no. Get me out of here. No.
They got to come on. McMahon overturned in a barber's chair after seeing what he looked like. One of the most successful businessmen in American history, Vince McMahon, at his own creation, WrestleMania, has been totally humiliated at the hands of Bobby Lashley and his billionaire representative, Donald Trump. Good God, what a... King, I almost have empathy for Mr. McMahon.
Yeah, keyword being almost,
Austin, Lashley, and Trump celebrating with a cold one. Mr. McMahon won't be celebrating anything for a long, long time.
they are. You ever notice how big Mr. McMahon's ears are?
I beg your pardon?
Ever see how big Mr. McMahon's ears are?
Wait!
Hey!
Oh, Austin! Austin stunned the Donald! What? Stone Cold just stunned him! Good God Almighty! What a WrestleMania! Stone Cold just stunned Donald Trump!
What a lawsuit that's gonna be! You can't stun Donald Trump!
I bet Trump's ex-wives are doing cartwheels. It's better than alimony. A stunner on the Donald from the rattlesnake. That's a real hostile takeover.
Oh my God! Look, every hair's still in place.
Stone Cold Steve Austin has put an indelible imprint, a rattlesnake imprint, on WrestleMania 23 and did every single thing that he said he was going to do.
Well, let's check this out one more time. The clothesline, the billionaire clothesline. Mr. McMahon had promised a billionaire bitch slap, but instead, it's a clothesline.
Umaga went for the spike. Austin avoided it. Hits the stunner on Umaga. And then Lashley, bam! Oh God, what a collusion! And here's what happens when you lose a battle of the billionaire hair match. Your man loses, you lose your hair. If you have Mr. McMahon and hair in the WrestleMania pool, you lose.
Well,
Don't do this to me. I'm bringing you.
oh my gosh.
Hey, King, what do you think that hair's worth?
I don't know, but I know that tonight if Mr. McMahon wants to run his fingers through his hair, he's going to have to cut holes in his pants pocket. Somebody save that hair. It'll be worth a ton on eBay.
That is some.
Get the hair.
been selling my soul, working all day, overtime hours for bullshit pay, so I can sit out here and waste my life away, drag back home and drown my troubles away. It's a damn shame what the world's gotten to for people like me, people like you. Wish I could just wake up and it not be true, but it is. Oh, it is living in the new world with an whole soul. These rich men north of Richmond, Lord knows they all just wanna have total control. Wanna know what you think, wanna know what you do, and they don't think you know, but I know that you do. 'Cause your dollar ain't shit, and it's taxed to no end. 'Cause the rich men, north of Richmond. I wish politicians would look out for miners, and not just miners on an island somewhere. Lord, we got folks in the street, ain't got nothing to eat, and the whole beast milking welfare. Well, God, if you're 5'3" and you're 300 pounds, taxes ought not to pay for your bags of fudge rounds. Young men are putting themselves 6 feet in the ground, 'cause all this damn country does is keep on kicking them down. Lord, it's a damn shame what the world's gotten to for people like me, people like you. Wish I could just wake up and it not be true, but it is. Oh, it is living in the new world with an whole soul. These rich men north of Richmond, Lord knows they all just wanna have total control. Wanna know what you think, wanna know what you do, and they don't think you know, but I know that you do. 'Cause your dollar ain't shit, and it's taxed to no end. 'Cause the rich men, north of Richmond. I've been selling my soul, working all day, overtime hours for bullshit pay.
What will we do with this moment? How will we be remembered? Look at the opportunities before us.
This election really isn't about the left versus the right. It's about we the people choosing our government and the choice between freedom versus tyranny.
Nobody has a chronic disease burden like we have. Why are we allowing this to happen to our children? Ultimately, the only thing that will save our country is if we choose to love our kids more than we hate each other.
What is going on here is deeper than politics. It is deeply spiritual. We are being called to rise above the hatred and the fear and the evil.
We need to remember above and beyond that we must love our neighbors, that we must treat other people as we hope to be treated.
You want to be a rebel? You want to be a hippie? You want to stick it to the man? Show up on your college campus and try calling yourself a conservative.
America is going to reach heights that it has never seen before. The future is going to be amazing!
Don't you want healthy children? Don't you want a president that's going to make America healthy again?
I come to you today as a former Democrat. I will be a first-time Trump voter tonight.
The people dreamed this country, and it's the people who are making America great again.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the next president of the United States, President Donald J. Trump.
Thank you very much. This is unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Think of it. This is it. This is the last one that we're going to have to do. And doing 4 of these in one day is a little difficult, but not really, because the love in every one of them has been incredible, just like this. So it makes it a lot easier. And I want to say a very special hello to Grand Rapids. It's been a special place. Remember 2016, we were given a 3% chance. You remember we came to Grand Rapids, I said, how the hell are we going to lose? It was just like this. And I said, how are we going to lose? We're not going to lose. And it was a 3% chance. And then we won a little place called Florida and went to about a 7% chance. And then it went to an 11%. And then it went to 17%, you remember? And went that way. And then it went to about a 62% chance. And they had somebody in there going totally crazy. The woman, she became a fan. She was going crazy. Not on our side, on the other side, she was going crazy. But we're in very good shape. I have to tell you, we're way up in terms of the vote. You know, the Republicans are never up like that. And I don't want to talk too much about it because I really want you to just assume that it's sort of even, and you're going to turn out tomorrow, and we're going to blow this thing away because, you know, we're leading going in by hundreds of thousands of votes, but just pretend we're tied or losing by a little bit because we want to put on a display tomorrow of unity and everything. The progress that this party has made is incredible. It's very inclusive. It's inclusive of everybody, including our great mayor right back there. That is our great mayor, and who came through for us. But I want to thank everybody, and a very special hello to Michigan. We're going to do some great things from Michigan. We're going to do great things from Michigan. We're going to bring the car business blazing back. You're not going to remember what it was like. We're going to make Detroit. We're going to make Detroit greater than it ever was. You know, I've been hearing about Detroit for a long time. They've been talking about that miracle in Detroit. Well, I mean, look, we got to be honest. It hasn't happened, but it's going to happen now. It's going to happen, and at levels that you never dreamt possible. So for the auto workers who have been so incredible, you've been so incredible. You're going to be very happy with the things we're doing. We killed the plant, as you know, in Mexico. The biggest plant in the world was going to be built in Mexico, and I absolutely killed it. But I'd like to begin by asking a question. Are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? Because over the past 4 years, Americans have suffered one catastrophic failure, betrayal, and humiliation after another. Kamala has delivered soaring prices and true economic anguish at home, war and chaos abroad, and a nation-destroying invasion on our southern border, invasion of some of the greatest criminals in the world that are pouring into our country. And we're not going to take that. We're going to end that, like, immediately. And I happen to think it's bigger than the economy, and I think, you know, every poll shows the economy and inflation and then the border and the horrible things that are going on, and I don't agree with it. I think we have to focus on all of it. We do it all one time, but to me, when you allow thousands of murderers into our country, to me, when you allowed the drug kingpins of the world and terrorists into our country at levels that we've never seen before, to me, that's the bigger problem. We're going to solve it all, but that's the bigger problem. And we're going to have it taken care of very quickly. But my message to you and to all Americans tonight is very simple. We do not have to live this way. We don't have to live this way. We're not living good. 4 years, what did they do that was good? Can you name one thing? I said to a group of people, what have they done? Everything's a disaster, including nobody even knows how to. Supposing President Xi of China wanted to call to ask a little question about war or Taiwan or anything, who the hell does he call? We got a little problem in America. There's nobody to call. You know, they'll probably end up calling me. Maybe they'll call me. But, no. But who do you call? And remember, they ripped that presidency away from Joe Biden. Say what you want. We're not fans of Joe Biden. You know, I spent $150 million on him. We went through the convention. We never mentioned Kamala. Nobody knew who the hell she was. And all of a sudden, they picked Kamala, even though she was in last place. She came in number 13. They had 12 plus Kamala. She was considered the 13th. But then they wanted to be politically correct, so they picked Kamala. And they called her Harris, and nobody knew who Harris was. Like, call Harris. Who's Harris? Weird. You know, it's a very nice name, but it's a strange name because nobody knows who she is as Harris, so we have to call her Kamala. But she was the least popular. She got no votes. She lost in the primaries to Joe Biden and everybody else. She was the first one out. She quit the first one, 22 people. She left. She never made it to the great state of Iowa, never made it. And now we're running against her. But she's been exposed, you know, she's been exposed. She's a radical left lunatic who destroyed San Francisco. But we don't have to settle for weakness and incompetence and decline and decay. That's a nice word, decay. That's what's happened. That's a nice word, decay. Can you imagine? And nobody will question it because it's true. With your vote tomorrow, we can fix every single problem our country faces and lead America, indeed the world, to new heights of glory. Think of that statement, how beautiful that is. New heights of glory, that's what's going to happen. When we win the election and we're really well, look, the ball's in our hand. All we have to do is get out the vote tomorrow. You get out the vote, they can't do anything about it, we win. One of their top people just got on television. I was coming in and they said, these are not looking good, these numbers for them. This is very troubling. At least he was honest. No, all we have to do, if we get out our people, it's over. There's nothing they can do about it. It's nice when you have that, right? You know? In other words, to make you feel a little guilty, we would only have you to blame. But we put ourselves in an unusual position. Never happened where we're leading by hundreds of thousands of votes in the early stage vote. That's never happened before. We've always been losing by sometimes millions of votes, and you know, you keep catching them on Tuesday, but Tuesday comes along and you make it, or you don't quite make it, you're a little short, and then they cheat, and it makes it a little tougher. Because when you have open borders, transgender everything, high taxes, very high taxes. They're campaigning on the fact that they're going to raise everybody's taxes. And you have men playing in women's sports. You have to cheat. Who the hell is going to approve that stuff? Who's going to approve open borders with criminals pouring into our country by the millions? No, they have to cheat. They have to cheat, and they do it very well, actually. But I think we're in very good shape. We just have to you show up, and you're going to have the biggest victory. You know what this will be? The single greatest victory, politically speaking, in the history of our country. And when we win the election, only one day from now, do you know how that sounds? I started off saying, and when we win the election 4 years from now, that was terrible. That was so depressing, when we win the election 4 years from now. Then I said 3 years and 2 years and 1 year. Then I said 6 months, and I said, ooh, that's starting to get a little close. And then I said 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 month. And then about 3 weeks ago, when we win the election in 21 days, it just seemed very far away. And now I say when we win the election tomorrow. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? Wow. And what we've done, this is a sad occasion in certain ways, because I think we did like 930 rallies from the very beginning. That's a lot of rallies, and you know, and remember, if you make one slip up, and you know, I'm a person, as you probably noticed, I have this beautiful speech, I haven't really even gotten to it yet. One of these moments, I'll start giving you some beautiful things to listen to, and honestly, some terrible things to listen to. Terrible. What's happened, what they've done to our country is horrible. Horrible. And by the way, don't you like a president that doesn't need to use a teleprompter? Isn't there something refreshing? But I think I heard somebody say it's like 900, maybe a little more than 900 rallies. And, you know, rarely do they ever catch me making even a little mistake. I go through rally after rally, 10, 20, 30, and then I say the wrong. They say, he's cognitively impaired. No, we're not. I'll let you know when that time happens. It could happen, but hopefully it's not going to be for a long time. He pronounced a word, he slurred the word, and I hate to go back, you know. A lot of guys, they'll be talking and they'll make a mistake. Excuse me, let me go back. When you do that, it's over for a good speech. You can't do that. You just have to blaze through it and hope that they didn't hear the mistake. Now, when Winston Churchill, who was a great speaker, he was actually a stutterer, a tremendous stutterer, and he became one of the greatest orators. But when Winston Churchill made a mistake, he didn't go, excuse me, and go back. He just blazed through it. But if I do it, they say, he's cognitively impaired. There's something wrong with him. These people are sick. Those people, look at them. Ooh, that's a lot. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. But this has been an incredible journey. And it's very sad in a way because, you know, we've done all these, and this is the last one. But here's the good news. All we were doing is putting ourselves in a position to win, which we can do tomorrow very easily if we show up. Just so you know, if we show up, they can't win. They can't. They mathematically can't win because they're so far behind. If you don't show up, I guess. But here's the one thing I will say. Show up anyway, but they have no enthusiasm. She had a rally today. She couldn't have had more than 100 people there. And I had all 4 stadiums were full, but she had a rally, and she was screaming, we're going to win, we're going to win. And they wouldn't follow her. They wouldn't say it. Did you see that clip? I'd like to put it up. The problem is I don't put up too many clips. I have the most beautiful clips. The problem is the press won't follow them. I had a friend a couple of weeks ago. We made these gorgeous clips, and actually gorgeous in one way, but horrible in another, showing the death of children and all the damage that they've caused with the open border. And all they have to do is take those cameras, look at all those cameras, and all they have to do is move them like an inch over and an inch up. I have oftentimes, well, not too many. I have oftentimes screens right behind me. All they have to do is just move it up 2 inches like this. And they don't do it because they're fake news. They don't want to show what's on the screen. It's a shame. I'm having a modestly good hair day. Look at that. Look. Modestly good. Not the best. I'm not thrilled, but it is what it is. No, it's great. But what I do see behind me are beautiful people, great workers, people that are proud and they love our country. That's what I really see. Nice, beautiful. So it puts us, assuming we can win tomorrow, which I think we should be able to do pretty easily. It's in our hands, right? It's in our hands. It's totally in our hands. Oh, it's today. Oh, it's today. Oh. Thank you. That's today. Wow. Can you imagine a crowd like this at like 1 o'clock or some ridiculous time in the morning? On a Monday/Tuesday, right? Think of that. What a compliment. And it is true. She had nobody at these rallies. That's a poll. Look, Mr. Wall. Look at Mr. Wall over there. This guy. It was always my ambition to buy a suit like that and wear it one time. Well, I came in a sanitation uniform last week, and that worked out pretty good. Because Joe Biden, in one of his crazy moments, said that we were all garbage. But they've shut him down. They took the election away. They walked in and they said, you're not running anymore. You're out. Can you believe? They stole the election from a president. They stole the. Can you imagine that? They said you're not. They use the word coup. I think it's worse than a coup in a sense because a coup there's a little back and forth. They said, Joe, you're out. That crazy, horrible human being, Nancy Pelosi, who cheats like hell. She sold. She sold. You know what she said last night? She said, and there's another guy, how do you explain that guy? They say, well, we'll get ready to start impeaching him. Now, how bad are people like that? They're just trouble for our country. They're bad, sick people. They took 2 impeachments and they wasted all that time and money and energy when we should be focusing on making America great again. They're horrible people. I mean, Nancy Pelosi started with nothing. She's worth $200 million. You know, she had a big position in Visa, and she sold it. And the day after she sold it, the Justice Department announced that they were under this massive investigation. You're a stock guy, right? They're under a massive investigation. So I don't know what happened, but I don't imagine the stock went up. History would tell you the stock went down. Did it go down a lot? It went down a lot. So they have this big position. She sells her stock. Hours after she sells her stock, they announce that Visa's under massive investigation. The stock goes tumbling down. She's a crooked person. She's a bad person. Evil. She's an evil, sick, crazy. Oh, no. It starts with a B, but I won't say it. I want to say it. I want to say it, but Franklin Graham said, sir, I love your speaking ability and I love your storytelling, but honestly, it would be even better if you wouldn't use foul language. And I don't use much, every once in a while. And it's never a real bad word. It's, it's like never bad. And so I try to adhere, but he's wrong about one thing. It is a little better when you use the foul language because there's more emphasis. No, but these are bad people. These are bad. Adam Shifty Schiff. I call him pencil neck. He's got the smallest neck I've ever seen. He's got about a 4. And he's got the biggest head. So I don't know how the neck can hold the head. He's an unattractive guy, both inside and out. And this guy can end up being a senator, but don't worry, we've been beating him for 8 years. We've been beating these people. We've been beating them. They impeach me, we win. They send me down the Records Act, and we won in Florida. We win. But you know, we have to take a lot of time, a lot of money, which is what they want. A lot of time, a lot of money. This way we can stop the one guy we don't want to fight is Trump. We can stop him from getting the Republican nomination. And I got the Republican nomination in record time. Record time. And let's keep going, and maybe we can stop him from winning the presidency. But that's looking pretty good tomorrow, I'll tell you. They give us probably a 95. What do you think, a 95% or something like that? But don't believe it. Don't believe it. Go out and vote. Remember the story of Hillary. Just remember, that's why I told you the story. She was in bad shape when she called me up that night. And by the way, she called up and conceded, and then spent 7 years on saying how she was a good sport. Oh, she's a lovely person, Crooked Hillary. But you know what? She's smart, but she wasn't like, she lied a lot. I mean, a lot, but nobody lies like this Kamala. Kamala, he will not ever frack in Pennsylvania. My whole case is fracking, and he will open the borders immediately. No, I'm going to close the borders. However, if people want to come in, they can come in legally. They have to come in through a process. We need people. But Kamala is, I mean, this is known. She's a very low IQ person. And we don't need a low IQ individual. We've had that for 4 years. And our country's going down the drain. We're going to turn our country around. I will end inflation very quickly. You know how we're going to end it? By drilling and drilling and drill. Energy is going to bring everything down. Energy is going to bring it down, and I will stop the invasion of criminals coming across our border. I will strengthen our military. I will restore peace in the world, and I will rescue the American dream. We're going to have the American dream back soon. Together, we will begin the 4 greatest years in the history of our country, and we will launch the most extraordinary economic boom the world has ever seen. If you vote for Lion Kamala, you will have 4 more years of misery, failure, and disaster our country may never recover from. I don't believe that our country can take any more of this without just gone. I don't believe it can take any more. It's going to be, can't take this. This is abnormal abuse, And I heard somebody said the wall. I built 571 miles of wall, which is much more than I said I was going to build. And you know, it really worked. Walls work. 2 things work. What are the 2 things? Walls and wheels. They're the only 2 things that never get obsolete, right? Walls and wheels. A wall and a wheel. It's always going to be around. Other things, they have the beautiful computers. You know, you buy a computer. Oh, this is the greatest. 2 weeks later, it's obsolete. That goes on. I don't know how people do it. We have the king of computers. We have the king of everything endorsed me, Elon Musk. And he brought that rocket ship down 2 weeks ago. I never said 22 stories. It's like monster. You don't know, is it big or small? It's a monster. 22 stories. And you know that story. I've told it a couple of times. I love the story because I really, the best part is I'm talking to one of the most important guys in the world, and I say, wait a minute, could I just watch something? I see something on I have the television muted, right? I'm looking at this crazy rocket, and I saw it leaving a little while before, and it was all beautiful white. Now it's absolutely burned to a crisp. You know, it goes 10,000 miles an hour. The heat is at levels that nobody can experience. So it's a little, you know, rough. It's a little rough on the paint job. And it's coming in, and I'm watching, and I'm holding this very important person, one of the most important people. But, you know, when you were the president, and now it's very possible, like maybe 95%, that you're going to be the president again, they hold. No, they hold. So I say, do you mind holding for a minute? I have to see this. And I put the phone down. That guy was holding like for an hour and a half. He never got off the phone. I wish he would have hung up. I would have felt better. Because I picked up the phone later. I said, oh, wow. Hello? Hello? He goes, hello. Anyway, but it was so exciting. So I'm watching it. And this monstrous thing is going down, right? And it's coming down. It's, first of all, it's doing all sorts of flips up in the air. I would not want to be on that sucker. I don't care how good Elon is. I said, Elon, you wouldn't get me in that ship under any circumstances. But it's coming down. It's a little rough. And now all of a sudden it starts to slow down as it gets to the ground. Then it starts to move over. Then it gets a little bit out of control, it looks like. A little out of, and the left part of the bottom is going to just rip that big gantry. That's this, you know, whatever the hell it is that holds it. And it's coming in. Oh, and I didn't know it was Elon's. I just assumed, you know, he loves this stuff. He's in a class. But it's coming in and it's going to rip the gantry. I say, oh, this is bad. This is going to be bad. I close my eyes. All of a sudden, wow, you have this massive flame coming out of the left-hand side of the bottom. It was this big jet engine. It pushes it away, and it's coming down, and then it settles into a plate, and then those arms grab it like you grab your baby, just like you grab your little baby. And it hugged it and just put it down, and there it was. There it was. And I called Elon. I said, was that you? He said, yes. And he said, and by the way, he said this, and by the way, this is something I'd never said because I didn't even think of it before when I told this story. He said, and by the way, I'm heading up to Pennsylvania to campaign for you. That was 2 weeks ago. He's still there. Can you believe it? Because he considers the election more important than rockets, more important than anything. He helped us out a lot in North Carolina and parts of Georgia where they desperately needed the Starlink. I had no idea what Starlink. They called me up. They called me up in Georgia. Elon's incredible. He has Starlink. He's got everything has to do with stars and stuff. Very complex stuff. No, he's amazing. But, sir, I know that you know Elon Musk because I read your endorsement. You know, he says the most important endorsement he'll ever make. It was such a nice thing, and he said he wants to help. And I didn't know he was going to help to this extent. He went up. He won the big case today, too. He won the case. Huh? Because I don't know, he did something that I don't know what he was doing, but he did something with lotteries, and, you know, he's in a different, he's amazing. He's going to do lotteries and this and that and make your life fun, and he's having a good time. You know, he usually is in a lab, and he's happy there. All of a sudden, he's escaped the lab, and now he's out, and the public adores him. He's a great guy. The public absolutely adores him. But the man from North Carolina, great guy. You know, North Carolina was hit so hard with the water. The hurricane was essentially a massive pile of water. It was a big water hurricane, the biggest we've ever had. And they were so flooded. Areas that had never virtually seen water turned out to be lakes. They ripped houses, trees. Everything was ripped down by the power of the tides that were going back and forth. It was terrible. And this man said, if you could ask him for help with Starlink, we cannot get it. It's very hard to get. And I called Elon, and he got it immediately for them. He got it so much that he had it there immediately. So much that you know, they couldn't even believe it. He said, this has saved a lot of lives. They had no communication in North Carolina, which, by the way, we're leading. In fact, somebody said, they picked up stakes. There's no more ads. There's no more. That's usually a good sign. That's usually a sign that they're not going to win. But one of the reasons they're not going to win is because FEMA did such a bad job. So FEMA, you know, we had a great FEMA. We did good. But they spent most of their money, as you know, on illegal migrants coming in. They spent They spent so much money that they didn't have the money to take care of the people from North Carolina. But we will be there on January 20th, because on January 20th, that's when you assume it. But they pulled up stakes. Historically, when you pull up stakes and stop advertising and leave, historically you're in pretty good shape in this state. Is that correct politically? Because I haven't done this as long as some of the, as well and as long as, well, I think I've done it better actually, because I ended up being president, so I probably, but some of our great politicians have done this for a lot longer than me. So let me ask you, all of these senators, and when you pull up stakes and leave, historically, Doug Burgum was so incredible. He really is, isn't he? Is he a class act? His wife is much better. She blows him away, right? Catherine is much better. But, Doug, when you pull up stakes and you stop advertising, doesn't that generally mean that it's over, right? It's over. Doug is cautious. He doesn't want to, he thinks it's a trick question. No, it means it's over. And I think it's over in a lot of places. I think we're going to see some incredible stuff tomorrow. But it won't matter. It won't matter as long as you go out and vote. Nothing's going to matter, because it's in our, you know the expression, the ball is in their hands, the ball is in our hands. They can't do a thing about it. And now you're going to go out there later today. And you're going to show us something, and vote for me, and I will deliver rising wages, soaring incomes, and a colossal surge of jobs. We're going to use things. What's the most beautiful word in the dictionary? We're going to create wealth, opportunity for Americans of every race, religion, color, and creed. But I have to tell you one quick story, because I'm so proud. They're going to build this great big plant. They're building it. They're going to build it. China's going to build a plant, and it's going to destroy Michigan, destroy it, destroy Detroit. Everyone's going to move out. And I heard about it through a friend of mine that builds plants. That's what he does. He builds plants. He builds them better than anybody. John, let's just call him John. And he was sitting there, and I was at the Economic Club of Detroit a couple of weeks ago. But I told John a year ago, I want to see a plant. And he said, well, I'll have to take you to Mexico. I said, I don't want to see a plant. I want to see a plant here. I want a big one. He said, we don't really do too many big ones in the United States anymore. I said, what is that all about, Mexico? He said, well, China's building some of the biggest plants anywhere in the world. They're building them in Mexico. And I said, well, I'm not happy about that. I don't want to see the damn plant in Mexico. It wouldn't look right if I'm in Mexico looking at plants. Do we agree, sir? It wouldn't look right. And so he said, all right, look, I say, forget it. Then I thought about it, and I was making the speech in Detroit, and I said, a couple of weeks before, I said, if they want to build a plant in Mexico owned by China so that they can save all of the costs associated with bringing their cars and all of the things, I'm going to put 100% tariff on every single car coming out of that plant. And if that's not enough, I'll make it 200, 300, 500, 800. I don't give a damn what it is. And they're not going to have one car made in that plant that ever crosses that border, which is right next to them. Anyway, so I see John in the audience, and I gave them that notice a little before, and it was public. And I see him, and I send my people. I say, after I speak, make sure he comes to the back. I want to see him backstage. So I see John. I say, John, how's that big monster plant that's going to rip apart our country, but it's going to hurt South Carolina, Tennessee, and all the other places that do a lot of cars. It's going to hurt everybody. It's going to hurt the country. How is that plant doing? He said, sir, they've given it up because they think you're going to win, and they think you're going to tariff them, and they think they're going to lose their share. And sir, they've given up that plant. It's not going to be built anymore. So I saved Michigan and I saved Detroit, and we're going to let them build that plant. But you know where we want them to build it? Right here we want them to build it. And then they won't have any tariffs to pay. They won't have any tariffs, and they're going to use you to operate that big sucker, and they can build as big as they want with no tariffs. I said, let them know we'd love to have their investment. They're going to build it right here in Detroit, or at a minimum, they're going to build it someplace in the United States, and they won't have any problems. So that's a certain. So I saved Detroit and Michigan a lot. That alone, and I did that without even being president. How about that? They said he's going to win. They told John, we think Trump is going to win, and he's not going to let us make anything, and he's going to do things that we don't know. This guy is crazy. Because, you know, I charged China hundreds of billions of dollars in taxes and tariffs. They paid us, not one other president. And, you know, we're going to get along great with China. We're going to get along good. I want to get along with them. President Xi was great until COVID came. Then I wasn't so thrilled with him. But we did a great job in that. You know, we went back. Nobody knew what the hell it was. We did a great job. We get credit on our military. No wars. We did no wars. I had no wars. Remember when crooked Hillary Clinton? Remember when crooked Hillary was screaming during a debate, he's going to charge wars. He's going to have wars. He's going to prosecute wars all over the place. Look at him. He's a very volatile person. I'm actually not. I'm a very calm person. She's the one that's volatile. But he's a very volatile person. He'll start. No, I stopped the wars with my being volatile. Nobody had a war. We didn't have any wars except that we finished a war that we had. We beat ISIS. 100% of the ISIS caliphate was taken down. And it was done in a matter of weeks. When our stupid generals, our terrible generals, you know, the guys up top like Milley, like Kelly, real losers. Kelly was dumb as a rock. I'll never do that again. I let people, I say, give me a letter of resignation. Yes, sir, I'd like to say. They said, just give me. You know, Biden never fired anybody. That's why he never had a bad book written about him. No, and also, number two, nobody cared. When I fire somebody, every major publisher in the world, will you say something bad? I had one person who was so complimented, sir, you're the greatest president that ever lived, blah, blah, blah. Then she gets a show, but they only want to hire her if she's, I have all these letters, there's never been a better president. She goes in the show, I didn't like him, he was terrible. What a terrible human being. These people are sick, but you know what? All we can do is keep winning. That's all. Win, win, win. But a vote for Trump means your groceries, such a word I hear all the time, because I do like to mix it up with people, more so than my consultants. I think the people are much smarter than my consultants. My consultants are good, but I get much better. Like people say, groceries, right? I haven't used that. You know, such a sort of an old term. They say my groceries are so much more. I haven't, you know, the term is just like an old term, and it's a beautiful, but they say about my groceries were so expensive, they'll be cheaper. Your paychecks will be higher. Your streets will be safer and cleaner. Your communities will be richer. And your future as an American will be much better than it ever has been when I get in. Because this will be the golden age of America. And that's what I'm calling it. I'm telling the press. I hope you put it in. Isn't that a beautiful phrase? The golden age. I like to brand things like I brand Pocahontas, and you know I do a lot of branding. I'm one of the greatest branders in the world. A lot of them were Republicans, but they're all now friends of mine, so I can't talk. Some of my greatest branding was on the Republicans during the primaries, but they're all friends of mine. Most of them, some of them, yeah, most of them are. Most of them are, but you know, I don't talk about that. Once the battle is over, I take those words, I put them away permanently in some cases. On occasion, I'll bring them back out. But just a few months ago in a beautiful field in Pennsylvania, an assassin tried to stop our great movement, greatest movement in history. But that brush with death did not stop us by any means. It only made us more determined to finish the job that we had only just started. That was not a pleasant day, I will tell you. That was not a pleasant day. But many people say that God saved me in order to save America. Many people, I've seen it so many times. And with your help, we will fulfill that extraordinary mission together. We're going to fill it together. We are going to fulfill it together. It's a beautiful expression, and, you know, I think it might be true. I have sons that are here right now, Don and Eric, and they're great people. But they're really great shooters. They're like top-of-the-line shooters. They know so much about it. They say it was almost impossible for somebody, yeah, a miracle. It was a miracle. That's the miracle right up there, right? But I didn't realize that. But from the distance that they were, they say it was a miracle. Well, if I didn't turn to the right to look at that beautiful graph that we had up having to do with illegal immigration. So illegal immigration saved me, can you imagine? And speaking of that graph, let me see that graph. I love it so much. I love it. I love it. I hug it and kiss it every night. I take it to bed with me. My wife thinks I'm crazy. I bring it to bed with me. Look, if I don't put that up, and it's never there, it's always there or there, but usually it's on the left. So if I look to the left, I'm gone. If I looked over there, but it's like, something happened. Something happened. Something up there happened. No, but think of it. So I said, just like I did right now. The shooter's right there, right exactly 90 degrees. That crazy guy, right there. And I said, let me see the graph. I said, what the hell was that? But if I didn't turn, it goes a little, it's not good. You don't want to see that. So it was a miracle or a gift from God, maybe. Amazing. And when Don and Eric, who are really great shooters, they heard that, and then they heard the gun. They know exactly the gun. The AR-15. It's supposed to be very accurate and all that stuff. And this guy wasn't, he was at the range all the time shooting. He was supposed to be a good shooter. They said a bad shooter would hit it almost every time, a bad shooter. Don said it's the equivalent of sinking a 1-foot putt. That he put it in golf terms. I said, that's not good. Because for those that don't play golf, it's almost impossible to miss a 1-foot putt. And so it's amazing. So they were shaken up. They couldn't believe it. They actually said God did that because they didn't believe that they could. Now, it wasn't a miss. I mean, it wasn't. It ripped the hell out of it, but I consider that a miss. It ripped it up pretty good, and it was a very bloody mess. And the doctor, who was great in Butler, he said, sir, I want you to go with me to buy a lottery ticket because I've seen this. I've been doing this for 35 years, sir, and I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen anyone come out of it with that gun from that range. I said, he said, I want to buy a lottery ticket with you tonight. And I said, well, doctor, let's not do that. Let's see if we can get this sucker stop bleeding. But he told me the ear is the bloodiest part. You get hit in the ear, something to do with cartilage. So they thought I was hit all over. I said I wasn't hit all over because I was down, and I wasn't hit all over. I said I was hit in the ear. Now get me up, get me up. They said, sir, and they're touching all over this place because it was so bloody. They said, sir, you've been hitting other. I said, I'm telling you. You know, it's funny when I was. The word surreal, right? When I got to the White House, I was standing right outside and then inside the Lincoln bedroom, the bedroom of Abraham Lincoln, his wife, his son, Tad, who died actually as a very young boy, very young. It was a very rough time for them. They were suffering tremendous melancholia. You know, they called it. They were melancholy. Melancholia, they called it, not depression. It's the same thing, but in those days they call it melancholia. But I was in the Lincoln bedroom, so famous, all the furniture just the way it is. And he was very tall. He was 6'6". That's like the equivalent of a Baron Trump today. You know? Who's a lot taller than 6'6". He's a good-looking guy, but he is tall. And but he was 6'6". In those days, very unusual, but he was tall. And then you put his hat on, which was another foot, right? So he was a pretty tall guy. But the bed was very long. You could see it was elongated. But I was there, and it was like a really surreal. I was with the First Lady, who was very popular, who got the #1 book in the country. Can you believe it? Call Melania. Go buy it. Go buy that book. Go buy that book. It's great. I was a little nervous when I started reading it. I said, this could be very bad for me. Releasing a book before the election could be very dangerous for me. But no, it's a great book, and she's a great writer, actually. She wrote a note at the convention. Remember the note she wrote? It was so well crafted that these guys right here wanted to put it as part of the platform. It was unbelievable. The book is unbelievable. So go get it for Christmas or something. But it was just... when I was in the Lincoln bedroom, it was a surreal experience. It was like an outer body, they call it, experience. And it just was like it was something unbelievable. I said, can you believe this is where we are? And I was not a Washington person. I was only there 17 times, according to the fake news. But I think it's right. I was only there 17 times in my entire life. I wasn't... and I was a New York guy, which, you know, now I'm very much a Washington guy. I know the good ones, the bad ones, people. I know the dumb ones, the smart ones. I know a lot about the people. I didn't know anything about the people. I had to rely, and we did great. We had mostly the trade people, the war people. We had a lot of great people. But when I was on the ground, there was no surreal experience. I knew I was shot in the ear. And I was telling Secret Service, and let me tell you, they were damn brave. I went down fast, I looked, there was blood all over my hand. I said, this is not the normal situation. It's either the largest mosquito in history or I got hit by a bullet. And I followed my hand down, and I think people were also shouting, get down, I think it was. But I went down, and I'm telling you, I had, I guess, 7 Secret Service agents follow me. They were very brave. I'm telling you, those bullets were flying over our head. And, you can't forget that. Can't forget that. Those bullets, and I heard those bullets going. I said to somebody, how fast were they going? They gave me some mathematical number. I said, no, I want to know in miles per hour. And I think it was 3,200 miles per hour. You know, think of that. You know, a car, you're going fast at 70 or 80. These are 3,000 something. And those suckers were going over my head. There were 8 of them total. It was a total of 8 shots fired. And then it was a shot by a Secret Service sniper. Amazing, 1 bullet he used. But I think we also had help from one of the police snipers. He hit the stock of the gun or something, and we appreciate that very much. But it was amazing. But when I was down there, I was totally aware. I said, no, get me up, because I was speaking in front of a massive, you couldn't even see the end of it. Now, when we had the celebration honoring Corey, the firefighter, great guy, when we had that celebration, we had 101,000 people. And that's when I really got to see that's where I really got to see the real Musk, because I invited him up, and he's always like in a lab, and it's almost like he was released. And I said, you have to come up here, Elon, just come up. And he looked out, and he was so happy. I think he loves people. And he started doing jumping jacks and stuff behind me, right? He was so happy. I think he's going to run for office against me. I'm very concerned. No, he's great. It was great. But he was so happy, and it was a great celebration. But when I was down, it was no feeling like I had in the White House. I mean, I totally was aware of everything. But had I not made that turn, I wouldn't be with you tonight, and that would have been bad. And I hope that's right. I hope that's right. I hope that God did put me here to really save this country. Because this country's in big, big trouble. This country's in big trouble. I hope so. To every person and every citizen across this land, I am asking for the honor of your vote. I don't want your money. Most people want your money. I don't want any money. All I want you to do is go out today. Sounds a little strange. Go out today. Meaning go out in a few hours, okay? This guy's complicated because it sounds so much better when you say tomorrow when it's night, but that's okay. I want to be exactly accurate for them. But go out today and vote. And I guess 7 o'clock or whatever time it is, doesn't matter. And we're going to have the greatest victory in the history of our country. And as your president, I will fight for you every single day with every breath in my body. Together we will save this country, this great country that we love. We will defeat the corrupt system in Washington. Because I'm not running against Kamala. I'm running against an evil Democrat system. These are evil people. I wasn't running against Biden either. He was stuck in a basement. I didn't even run against him. I mean, no, we're running against a very evil system, and we have to defeat that system. And America's future will be an absolutely incredible one. As we stand on the brink of rescuing our country, I want to take a moment to thank the millions of hardworking men and women who are the heart and soul of this, the greatest movement of all time. Because it's you much more so than me, frankly. You're incredible people. You built this country, and you're going to save this country, but you're incredible people. You're really incredible people. And as I said in the very beginning, this isn't my campaign. This is your campaign. This is a great campaign that's now it's 9 years, and we've been fighting side by side every step of the way. We've been together. That's why it's not even hard. People say to me, like very successful people, how do you stand up and talk in front of these people? And it's sort of easy because they're love. It's love in these rooms. I just left Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, fly up here, and the love was the same. It's such love, and it's not hard to do. It's much harder to do when you have people screaming at you. But there's love in this room. I think there's love in the whole country. I think it's a much bigger movement than we even understand. I think we're going to end up getting numbers that are far greater than we would expect. But you've given your time, your money, and your whole heart for this cause, and your support means more than anything you can even understand. It's amazing. I love you all. You're very special. This is my last rally. Can you believe it? The rallies, these big, beautiful rallies, there's never been anything like it. And there never will be anything like it. And it just happened. It caught on. And I think it caught on because our country's in trouble. And, I happened to be a messenger that was able to tell you what you knew, because most people understand it. Most people with common sense, we're the party of common sense, they understand it. But this is all you need to know. I mean, Joe and Kamala broke it, and I will fix it. I'll fix it fast. And America will be bigger and better and bolder and richer and safer and stronger than ever before. It's going to be all of those things. The presidency requires strength, courage, and grit. And in a little while, you have to stand up and tell Kamala that you've had enough. You can't take it anymore. You're destroying our country. You were a terrible vice president. You destroyed San Francisco. She destroyed San Francisco. And she worked, when she was Attorney General of California, she worked along with a lot of her friends out there, like Gavin Newsom, the governor, one of the worst governors in history, and destroyed the state. I mean, more people moved out than moved in last year, first time ever. That's never happened before. You're going to say, Kamala, you're horrible at your job. You don't know what you're doing. You're a low IQ individual. We want smart people. We want cunning people. We're dealing with the smartest people in the world. We don't want you negotiating nuclear deals because you don't know what the word nuclear means. Kamala, you're fired. Get the hell out of here. You're fired. Get the hell out of here. You want to ruin our country. If we win Michigan, we win the whole thing. The whole thing. Over the past 4 years, Kamala has orchestrated the most egregious betrayal that any leader in American history has ever inflicted on our people. She was given the authority to run the border by Sleepy Joe because he wanted to go to bed and he wanted to sleep. He had only one thing he wanted to do, and that's sleep. So he made her the border czar. Now she's trying to deny it. By the way, the Border Patrol 2 weeks ago gave us the strongest endorsement you've ever heard. They said he's the greatest president in history and the best president on the border by a factor of 10. And I said to them, does that mean I'm better than Abraham Lincoln and George? What? Yes, sir, you're better than both of them. I had one problem. I had one of the guys that came up, and, they all, like 10 guys, they all made speeches. He's like 36. He said, sir, you're the greatest president in my lifetime. I said, I like the first guy better. I like Lincoln and Washington better than 36 years, right? But he meant well. But you know what? In terms of the border, what we did, we built all that wall. We built an extra 200 miles. They could have flipped it up in 3 weeks. You know that. It was all built. They sold it for scrap metal for 5 cents on the dollar, so much. And that's when I realized they actually want open borders. She has violated her oath, eradicated our sovereign border, and unleashed an army of gangs and criminal migrants from prisons and jails, insane asylums and mental institutions. And these people are all coming into our country. Are you okay down there? Is somebody hurt? Oh. Is somebody hurt? Oh. I saw you looking on the floor. I thought somebody was hurt. Oh, okay. We don't want our people to be hurt, right? We don't want that. But all around the world, they come from Venezuela, they come from the Congo in Africa, not just from South America, they come from all over the world, and they're stealing countless American lives. They're killing a lot of our people, a lot, far more than anybody thought even possible. The day I take the oath of office, the migrant invasion ends and the restoration of our country begins. It begins immediately. The United States is now an occupied country. Who would have believed somebody that's running for president and perhaps will be president in less than 24 hours or maybe it will take these machines that we pay so much for 2 weeks? Can you believe it? You know, if you used very highly sophisticated watermark papers, it's more sophisticated than the machines. Paper, highly sophisticated. Okay, if you used paper, and if you used voter ID, and if you had 1 day, and you, in addition to voter ID, you have a proof of the fact that you're a citizen of our country, which would be nice, you would have the results tabulated like in France. They had 37 million people. The results were tabulated at 9:30 in the evening. They had a winner, they had a loser, and they went home. And here's the other thing. I know nobody's very cost conscious anymore. 8% would be the cost compared to the cost of these very highly complex machines. And Elon Musk told me, he probably knows more about computers than any man in the world. He said that machines don't work because they're easily violated. Now, this is the smartest guy in the world, the guy that runs rockets with computers, and saying the computers are far more important than the engines. I mean, nobody knows anything like this. But if you used paper, it's 8% the cost of the other. It's more accurate. And you don't have 12-day waits. And then what the hell's happening in the inside of those machines if you wait? We want the answer tomorrow, tonight. We want the answer tonight. They spend all this money. They spend all this money, and old-fashioned paper is much less expensive. And you know what? It's more accurate. It's much better. Something's going on with this. I mean, what the hell are they doing? But we don't want to wait 10 days, 12 days, 3 days, 2 days, or 2 hours. We want the answer tonight. So we live in an occupied country, and I will tell you, we will be an occupied country no longer. This will take these young guys, these have military type equipment, highest grade, highest level, supreme military equipment. Where the hell did they get this stuff? They've taken over large parts of Colorado. They've taken over parts of numerous states, and a lot of people don't want to talk about it because they think it's going to destroy their city or town. They're all over the place. And when they're not, those people running those towns, when they're not, they're petrified. They don't want them coming in. In one town in Ohio, as you know, they have a beautiful town of, think of this, 50,000 people, and they dumped 30,000 migrants into the town. So you have 50,000, now you have 30,000 migrants. Springfield, Ohio. It's a beautiful place, gorgeous place. And now if you want to go to the hospital, you can't. If you want to get a checkup, you can't. If you want to find a doctor, you can't. If you want to get your kid into school, you can't. It's a whole different world. We can't allow this to happen. They're destroying our country. November 5th, 2024 will be Liberation Day in America. On day one, I will launch the largest deportation program of criminals in American history. I will rescue every city and town that has been invaded and conquered. Can you believe I'm running for this great office and I'm talking about rescuing cities and towns that have been invaded and conquered? Can you imagine 10 years ago? Can you imagine 10 years ago using language like that? Or saying, we will not allow men to play in women's sport. You know, if you go back just 10 years and you move yourself forward and you heard a politician saying, we will not allow men to play in women's sports, they'll think, is this guy crazy? Of course they're not going to pay. To expedite removals of Trende, Aragua, and other savage gangs like MS-13. Trende is from Venezuela prison system, and they are rough. I will invoke the Alien Enemies Act of 1798 to target and dismantle every migrant criminal network operating on American soil. And if they come back into our country, it's an automatic 10 years in jail with no possibility of parole, because we don't want them back. And I'm hereby calling for the death penalty for any migrant that kills an American citizen or a law enforcement officer. And I will ban all sanctuary cities in the United States of America. They're sanctuary for criminals. 4 years of Kamala have delivered nothing but economic hell for American workers. The workers are getting destroyed. Her inflation disaster has made life unaffordable and cost families over $30,000 in higher prices. Think of that. Who can afford that? Just days ago, we had the worst jobs report in modern history. I never wanted to be Herbert Hoover, and I'm glad these numbers are coming out now. I'll fix it, but boy, it's getting bad. 12,000 jobs were announced. Now, usually you hear 200, 250, you know, and you hear it for years and years. 12,000 jobs. And then they became frauds. It was a fraud on the country because they made up numbers. 30,000 private sector jobs were killed in a single month, and nearly 100,000 manufacturing jobs have been wiped out since just the start of the year. You don't hear these numbers from the fake news. 150,000 Americans joined the unemployment rolls in October. 150,000. These are depression-type numbers. And nearly 250,000 people dropped out of the labor force. Just think, a few months ago, they fraudulently claimed 818,000 jobs were created, when in fact, there were none. They said 818,000 jobs were created in our country, which kept us, and what that did is it kept us like okay. It wasn't great, but it was like not record-shattering or anything, but it was a lie. And they thought they'd be able to get away with it until after the election, and then announce after the election that they made a mistake. These are bad people. Fortunately, there was a whistleblower who I think should be entitled to an award. Could you imagine if it were me and we lost the election, and then a few days later they say that the job numbers are being revised by almost 1 million people? And now they've just revised it again. On top of the 818,000, 112,000 fake jobs were just announced. So you add that up, and it's almost 1 million fraudulent jobs were announced. And nothing happens. These guys don't report about it. If I was talking about 2 jobs, it would be like front page on every newspaper. They cheated, and it's fraud. You know, when they make mistakes, they make them for 2,000, 3,000. There was never 818,000 jobs right before the election were announced, and they turned out to be a fraud. And they were going to announce the revision after the election was over. What the hell kind of an election would that have been? So I want to thank this whistleblower. Meanwhile, 100% of the net jobs created in the last year have gone to migrants. Think of that. 100%. 100% of the jobs that were created went to migrants, not to people. And I'll tell you what, your black population is being devastated by these people. They're taking all the black population jobs away, and they should announce those numbers before the election also, because frankly, what's happening there, you're going to see some bad things happen. They're taking their jobs, and the Hispanic population is going to be next. You watch. It's horrible. But if I win, it's going to be not so horrible because we'll fix it. These are depression-type numbers, and that's where we're heading if she's elected. And if she's elected, we're talking about a 1929-style depression. Under my leadership, we are quickly going to turn this economic nightmare into an economic miracle. We're going to make it a miracle. We will make America wealthy again, and we will make America affordable again. And we're just one day, meaning a half a day, sir, away from the best jobs, the biggest paychecks, and the brightest economic future the world has ever seen. But you must vote. Gotta vote. You gotta vote. Kamala's plan will impose the largest tax hike in American history. I've never heard anybody campaign. I've done this stuff for a long time, but I've been involved for a very long time supporting candidates. And candidates are always saying, we will reduce your taxes, efficiency, all this stuff. They're running on the fact that they're going to raise taxes substantially. I've never heard that. This is the craziest campaign I've ever seen. We will raise your taxes. Vote for us. Mondale. Mondale, he says Mondale. I think you're right. We're going to raise your taxes, but they're going to do that on the typical family, American family. They're raising the taxes more than $3,000 a year. My plan will massively cut taxes for workers and small businesses, and we will have no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax for our great seniors on Social Security benefits. To rapidly reduce inflation, I will end Kamala's war on American energy, and we will drill, baby, drill. We're going to drill, baby, drill, 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 drill. And I will cut your energy prices in half within 12 months. Okay, when that happens, everything's coming down. The donuts are going to come down. The food is going to come down. As we say, the groceries. I just told the story in Pittsburgh. A woman, elderly, goes to a supermarket and takes 3 apples and brings the apples to the counter, and then she realizes that the price went up yet again, and she doesn't have the money for them, and she excuses herself, she walks back to the refrigerator, puts the apple back in refrigeration, and walks back and buys the 2 apples. That shouldn't be happening in our country. That should not be happening, and we're not going to have it happen long. I will cancel Kamala's insane electric vehicle mandate. And I will make interest on car loans fully tax deductible. So how about that? People, the most brilliant people, is that Scott Bessent over there? Where's Scott? Scott, stand up. He said he's one of the most brilliant people on Wall Street. Do you agree, Scott, that you're one of the most brilliant people on Wall Street? Because everybody else says it. He's too shy to say it. But he's a genius. You know what his theory is? The stock market is the only sign of life, and it's only going up because everyone thinks Trump is going to win the election. And others too. Others too. I'm seeing it a lot. I think they're following your lead. But I appreciate that confidence. It's very nice. He's a brilliant guy. But so they call up and they say, brilliant guys are calling me up. And they say, where'd you come up? On a car loan, we're going to give people, we want to develop the car business in this country. In a car loan, we're going to give people the right to deduct the interest. But only if the car is made in the USA. What the hell do I care if a car is going to be made in? If a car is going to be made in Japan or China or someplace else, what the hell? I don't care if they buy it. I want them to buy cars. So think of that, what that's going to do for Michigan. So if a car is made in Michigan, you get a big deduction. That's going to be somebody. So I started just with the deduction. Then I thought to myself, why should I give them a deduction to buy a car that's made in China or Japan or South Korea? Well, I don't, look, I mean, they're wonderful people. Everyone's wonderful, but I want them to be built here. So then I came in with that little extra tip, and it says, but you only get the deduction if the car is made in America. Isn't that cool? And hopefully right here in Detroit and Michigan would be great. We're thrilled to be joined by your next senator, Mike Rogers. Mike, thank you very much. Thank you. You're doing great. This guy is doing great. He is amazing. I think I'll tell you, it's hard to beat some of these people because they lie. I heard she's another one. She's going around saying she's very close to Trump. She agrees with Donald Trump on the tariffs and the wall and the this, but she never agreed until about 2 weeks ago when she was losing, right? No, she's doing, but I have about 6 of them that are doing that. They're doing that against Bernie Moreno. They got a guy running against him, Sherrod Brown. I love President Trump very much. He's great. We're leading. I'm leading, how, by like almost 20 points or something. So all of a sudden they love me. They all love me. And the day after the election, he'll be calling for my impeachment. Let's impeach him. These people are sick. But we have great members, and Mike is really a talented guy, respected all over Washington. He was there, he was very successful. And I hope he can represent you because he's going to be one of the stalwarts. He'll be a leader. Thank you very much. And also members of Congress, John Joyce, Bill Heisinger, Tim Walberg, John Molinaire. I saw you guys. Very good speech you guys made. Boy, you really were rocking them, huh? You guys, very different styles, but tremendous talents and really good. Thank you very much. They really are tremendous. You have a great bunch here. I don't say that with all states. Some states I'm not so thrilled, but that's okay. And governors, Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Where's Sarah? She's so great. She is so great, right? Proud of her. I saw her father the other day. I served on a panel with him. And I said, you know, Mike, I think you're great. He endorsed me when I was running. He gave me a 4-page endorsement. And I think the endorsement was put out before I finished my speech. And I said, you know, you're great. He said, well, I appreciate that, but my daughter is far greater. How about that? Is that nice? My daughter is greater, he said. And he's not a man without an ego, I will tell you, right, Sarah? But he said, my daughter is greater. That's beautiful. That's a beautiful thing that he said. He's an incredible guy. And Doug Burgum, who's become one of the real stars of the party. And Catherine, stand up. I first noticed Doug by looking at Catherine. She was riding a horse in an ad. I said, who the hell is that? But I don't look anymore. No, beauty doesn't mean a damn thing to me anymore. It doesn't mean anything, but I did notice there was a woman, and to the left there was a man riding, but I didn't notice him so much. But it was this couple, and you know the ad I'm talking about. It was beautiful. It's like the most beautiful. He looked like the Marlboro Man. Whatever happened to him? But what a combination. And he's become one of the most successful governors. What he's done with the fracking and with the oil and gas and everything, he's become something special. He's done a great job. Thank you both very much for being here. Appreciate it. And former Congresswoman and Democrat candidate for president who did very well. I watched her for a long time. She's a woman of incredible intelligence, but maybe more than anything else, unbelievable common sense. And very, very special. She just joined the Republican Party, by the way. She was an independent for years. Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi, thank you. Great. And a man who's very special with a great talent. He was the ambassador to Germany. And I'll never forget when I took him out, the happiest person in the world was Angela Merkel. When Rick Grenell was taken out, this was the best day in Angela's life. He was not your typical ambassador. He was somebody who would say, this is no good what's happening. And actually it was a love-hate. They really loved him, but they said he's a smart one. He was wise to what they were doing. Rick Grenell, where's Rick? Thank you. Thank you, Rick. And a woman who ran a very good race. It was a hard race because, you know, she believes in things and she believes in them very strongly. And I say you always have to stick with your beliefs. It's very tough. I told her it's very tough. But she's a hell of a woman. She had a father who I knew. He was a steelman. He was in the steel business. He was thankful when I put the tariffs on because we saved the steel industry, and he was a real pro. He passed away, but he was a great guy. But he'd be very proud of his daughter. His daughter's an incredible woman. Tudor Dixon. Thank you, Tudor. Thank you. We miss your father, right? What a great guy he was. And then we have a woman who drives extremely fast. She can drive a car. And, you know, just very successful, won races, but she's very successful. It takes tremendous courage and strength and everything else. It takes everything. I think driving those cars at 220 and 240 miles an hour, boy, you got to be brave. Probably have to be a little bit crazy, Danica Bradrick, right? You have to be a little crazy, right? But it's Danica. Such an honor to have you involved, Danica. Such an honor. She's so smart. We were talking about, I just can't believe it, how I was asking her questions on the plane over about, how do you do it? How do you do it? Because, you know, they had me in one of these cars that start the race, and I'm sitting in the car, and we're going like 60 miles less than what you travel at. And I'm saying to the driver, you okay? He was okay. But it's an honor to have you involved. You're really special, really incredible athlete. She's an incredible athlete. And another person that was very honest and very talented and doing an incredible job, but she was extremely honest. And sometimes you can be honest and it doesn't work out, but it's actually worked out really well because she's doing phenomenally well, better than before. Sage Steele, thank you very much, Sage. And Michigan Republican Party Chairman Pete Hoekstra. Now, I told Pete, I've known Pete for a long time. He was very, very successful at everything he did, and he was an ambassador. He was one of the best. And I said, Pete, you got to come in and run the party. You got to do it for me. And it was not that easy. He has a lot of options, and he came in, and I mean, I think we're going to have a great result later. But Pete came in and ran the party, and I'll tell you, it is so organized. It's so professional. I think we're going to win. I mean, I think we're going to win in Michigan. Seems to be. We can't let them forget that I stopped that big Chinese plant in Mexico, Pete. Put that on top. But no, that was the thing. Nobody else would do that. I did it without being president. They just said, but they know it's not going to be easy for them. They won't. They're going to. Let's put it this way. If they build it, they're going to lose their ass, okay? So I want to thank you, Pete. You've done incredible. And a man who I fell in love with, actually, he's an auto worker and a union guy, but he saw what was happening. He saw look, I mean, you take a look at this area and go back 50, 60 years, it's been just a downward trend. It looks like, you ever see a chart? It's like, right, Brian? It's like just a downward, like a sliding ramp. Brian Pannebecker from the Auto Workers for Trump. Brian, come up here for a second. Come here. Come here. I got to see. I love this guy. I always wanted arms like him. He's got that biggest, meanest arms. They look like what grabs that rocket. He could grab the rocket. Tell them a little bit about what you see going on. And I tell you, he's just an incredible guy. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's an honor to be here at your very last campaign rally. I gotta give a shout out to Scott Hagerstrom right out here. He brought me to Novi when you were holding a rally there in September of 2016. You were a candidate before you were president, and I got backstage and got to meet you, and I told you the little song about Macomb County, home of the Reagan Democrats. I said, Mr. Trump, if you come to Macomb County and ask for the Reagan Democrats' support, which is basically the UAW members, and I got a few of them here with me tonight. I said, if you come to Macomb County and ask for the Reagan Democrats' support and you get it, you might win Macomb County big enough to carry the whole state of Michigan. I said, Mr. Trump, if you win Michigan, we both know what that means. You win the White House. And that's exactly what happened. So we're going to do it again this year. The UAW represented auto workers are going to vote 65% or more for Donald Trump for president, and we're going to carry Michigan again.
Thank you, brother. I love you. We all love you. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Great guy. Great guy. And you're a great guy. I appreciate that support. I appreciate that support. Thank you very much. It's terrific. You gave us a beauty there, didn't you, huh? He's a worker. Michigan Senate Republican leader, Eric Nesbitt. Eric, thank you very much. Great job. You're doing beautifully. And Michigan House Republican leader, Matt Hall. Tremendous guy. The great Steve Witkoff, great businessman, the most generous person I know. He gives a lot of money. Every time there's a hurricane, he wants to give money, and he's just great. and Howard Lutnick. He's working along with my children and Linda McMahon, who's fantastic, and they're working on transition. But I said, don't worry about transition. Let's win this thing first. Okay, we'll work on transition. But he's one of the most respected people on Wall Street. Rebuilt his firm after it was taken out of the World Trade Center by that horror show act long ago now, but it's still very emblazoned in all of our minds. But so Howard, thank you very much. Howard Lutnick, thank you very much. And my great children, should I have them come up real fast? Okay. Don, Eric, Tiffany, Laura, Michael, come on up here. And we have Ivanka at home, sitting home, watching every second of it. And we have Barron, my beautiful boy, Barron. Barron, he knows more about computers than anybody. I closed up his computer. He said, Dad, it'll take it 2 minutes to figure that out. And all of a sudden, the damn thing opened up. I said, Barron, you got to turn it off. Okay, watch. I turn it off. It's no way. I put a separate code in. He's operating his computer. He's operating it 2 minutes later. So this group here, they are so committed. They didn't have to do this. I guess we all didn't have to do it, but we have to because they want to see our country be so great and so strong and so respected again. When people they're laughing at our leaders.